So today we have a terrific young lady named Tonya Kelly, SportsKelz Diva, and she is here today, a very enthusiastic sports person. And we're going to talk a lot about her journey, her humble beginnings to where she is now and how does she ever become a sports enthusiast, which is so exciting. She's a beautiful young lady. She's been through a lot, and we're getting ready to talk about it. So we getting ready to find out what's going on. And she's a fun gal to talk to, too. She's been in here talking to me and the director, Adam Dale, who is in charge of all of this, a wonderful young man, very brilliant, very smart. And, you'll see him. There he is. And he's allows me to do what I do right now. And it is awesome, isn't it?
Wow. I was like, who knew?
Now, I know Tonya from modeling and just being around and doing her sports talk, but I never got to be on it. That's what was weird. You never let me on it. I was like, hello, let me be on your show. But anyway, this is Tonya Kelly, and of course, she's going to explain to us everything. So this is kind of like just our warm-up.
Okay.
Our warm-up conversation. She is so fun.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's talk sports from a woman's perspective.
Now, look, okay, we got to ask. Let me see, where's my segments at? We got to ask you, wow, how were you brought up? What was life like in the Tonya household?
Wow. You know what? For me, so first of all, thank you, Sonya, for having me on your Girls in Sports show. Your logo is hot.
You're
it's
so
hot,
welcome.
Hot. Damn. I said, what we been doing all this time? As long as I've been knowing you, who would ever thought you was talking about sports? We could have been horsing and talking trash. I'd have had somebody to team up on. So I got you down. This is going to be me and you.
That's because you are a real sports enthusiast. I'm just beginning. I'm a beginner. I just get to play with different technology.
Okay.
And stuff like that. Adam is on top of all this kind of stuff
in my life. Woo.
Oh my God, girl! Ooh, let me tell you, if I could pay him, for real, he would just be in my pocket all the time.
I might have to come on and squeeze me. I would have to squeeze in your luggage and go with you where you be going.
He's very, very good at all this. We have because we go, not to interrupt you, Tonya, at all. We go and we film sports, events, basketball, whatever event is going on. And Adam has all these tables filled up with equipment.
So he your Robin. You the Catwoman and he the Robin, because I'm telling you, always gotta have a wingman.
You mean Batman?
You said okay, he the Batman.
No,
okay.
Superman.
Woo,
no,
he's Superman.
If we're making me a superhero, should I be Iron Man?
Yeah, okay, we'll be
I'm
Iron
Marvel
Man.
now.
Okay.
I will be Iron Man.
Iron Man, and that he is. It's just.
So you gotta have one of those. When you got one of those,
my head be swimming when I'm watching them, because it's just all this cords and. Tonya, you gotta come.
All right, no, because it'd be cords, it'd be, like you said, wires, it'd be computers up, and then the game is going, so you're trying to make sure that everything stays. So yeah, that's how it was when I first started. But once you get used to it, it's like it just fills you up, and it just makes you whole, and you love it. And it's like when you come off of it, it's like almost like a high. You have to come down, and it takes a while to come down. But you just be so like, what? Because you like on that fine line of being a sports fan and then doing media. So I had to always be like, okay. And then, the media sometimes, the media directors see me like, Kelz, just watching you, just blows my breath away, because I'm like, is she gonna jump up out of her seat? And I'm like, I know. So I'll be trying just that fine line of being that fanatic like I am, and then also still doing your job. So yeah.
It can be rough. It can be really rough sometimes.
Especially when you know someone, like you're going and you're seeing people that you grew up with and your legends and people that you love, and there they are, like how close me and you are together. You're seeing them. You're like, you trying to answer a question. You're like, you're trying to get your thoughts together because everything is running through your mind. Like, do I want to run over it and jump up? And my husband's always like, if you don't get it, sit down. Kel, calm down.
So you actually go and interview.
Yes.
And see, you got to.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning.
Let's
Now we jumping the gun. So.
That's right. What was the upbringing like?
So my
your
upbringing
home?
was 3 things: good food, apostolic church, and sports. And not in all that order. I am the oldest of 5.
Okay.
My father had 13 brothers and sisters, and they are Steeler fans. And I am. How about my Cowboys? even though we've been on the couch for a couple weeks, maybe about 2 months.
Years.
I know some people are gonna say something about this. You being a Steelers fan. I'm waiting.
So my family is Steelers, and my dad was a Steelers, but I was a Cowboys because when I turned 8, that was when.
Go ahead.
TV was still black and white. You know, you would see Landry come out on the field with that hat on, and you would just be like, "Oh my
I can't believe
God!"
I did this.
And it was just sports. It was boxing, and I'm talking about Leon Spinks boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm talking about Cassius Clay. Before it was Muhammad Ali. When they were first coming into the game, and my mom would say either you cooking or you watching TV. So I would go downstairs, and my dad had a 1-room TV, black and white, and we will watch sports from the time we wake up in the morning on Sunday at the church until the time we would go to bed. Until my dad passed away in 2004. That was our last OSU game. And I am originally from San Antonio, Texas, so I am a military brat child, and my dad moved here when DCSE first, was built, and we went to Rickenbacker. I was the only African-American child back in the 70s in Glendenny Elementary. So just to be able to see, where I come from, my humble beginnings, and I went to Britnell, that's where I grew up, and we talked sports. I mean, I had girlfriends, but I lived and breathed sports. So I would hang out with the guys. I was called the runaway girl. Even when I was in high school, I never was able to have a boyfriend. My mom wasn't playing them games, but we would talk sports. So, and that's who I was. I just became this avid lover of sports. And so even when I met my husband in 1991, we was at Columbus State. We were friends. Like, he had maybe a girlfriend. I might have someone I was talking to, but we was still like, hey, you want to watch the game? As long as there's some food and, so let's go get some good eats and some gang. I'm gang. And we just literally bonded. And it's been 31 years married, 31 years together, 21 years married. And we call it a sports love story. Because no matter what, life brings you, and it brings you ups and downs but one thing I can tell you, what keeps us solid and rooted is sports. We could be mad at each other even now, turn on the game, and we forget all about it until it's over. They'd be like, what? We're going downstairs, but sports is that defining moment for me. And as I was going through my journey, and I've had some major health issues, I am a survivor of thyroid and cervical cancer. And when 2016, I was going through a bout of it again. And, I always tell people when it comes to cancer, it doesn't matter if it's 1 stage, 3 stage, 4 stage, cancer is cancer. It is how you come of it. And that's when I first met you, and the sports was just my life. It allowed me to be me. This quirky, loud, crazy person that I didn't have to have no pretense. I could just be me. And again, my fellas love me. I love talking sports, talking trash to the best of them. And it has just been my life. And it gave me a purpose to live. Because when you hear that, saying that you might not live because of, if you don't change your habits or because of the health issues the crisis I was going through, I picked up sports. And so I launched On the Move with SportsKelz. And at first I didn't really realize what On the Move meant. I just said, I'm always moving around. So at that time, my dad had been gone for 2 years. And I said, let me just find something that lives me. And so me and my husband, we launched On the Move with SportsKelz. And my first media credential event was the Fiesta Bowl, 2016 OSU against Clemson. And that's the first time I got to saw Deshaun Johnson. I was matter of fact, I was sitting in front of I can't even think of the guy who is on the Channel 10 News, Don Taberry. And so that's the first time I really got to see him and up close in person. That's when I was like, oh my God, I made it. And so for that whole week, I flew out to Arizona by myself with me and my girlfriend. She was a flight attendant. And we got to go to all these covered events. We got to go to the parade. And I just got to be me, talk sports my way. And so I got to ask a question to Bo Sweeney about his faith and about his life and philosophy of the game. And he just went on for 10 minutes. And then my question ended up showing up on SportsCenter. And so that whole entire event, when I left.
Okay, so who does Bo Sweeney play for?
Man, Bo Sweeney is the Clemson's head coach.
Okay,
so we just like this at a press table. And again, when you're a woman, I'm just going to talk about it. You're an African-American woman. I'm an independent media outlet. You are literally amongst the good old boys. A lot of them are older white gentlemen. So you got to find your place. So I was able to ask my question, and it went on for 10 minutes because I knew he was about faith. He's about Jesus Christ. He was about philosophy. There's a culture that is a systematic culture in Clemson, and they beat us 31-0. But when I left, I was a hero. And just to be able to take that information and what I learned from all those different media outlets and directors, and talking to the Mr. Vance, he's the director at that time over the Fiesta Bowl, and he said, "You're not a sports analyst no more. You're a director." So when I came back, I launched fully into it, and here we are going into my 5th year. And I cover, Big Ten. I'm blessed to be able to cover Ohio State women's basketball. I've covered the NCAA Women's Final Four. I covered the Big Ten Media Days for the men, Ohio State for the men in basketball and football. And I've just been blessed to be able to be a media independent artist and do it my way. That's the bottom line. Do it your way. A woman who's talking sports from a woman's perspective. I talk stats, but I'm like you. I'm an enthusiast, but I want to know that culture. I want to know what's going on in that huddle. Like he was talking about me, and he was talking about, why our teams didn't make it. Those are things that I want to talk about, not so much the stats, because, head coaches, they don't think about that. They want to know those questions. But, I know stats sales, and that's what most men talk about. But for me, when I get that opportunity to ask, I want to know, like, what was happening in the huddle? Why you changed the lineup?
Right.
When I'm seeing him, hunched over, or when I'm seeing them down, and then they get that spark that needed to win those games. Those are things that I ask in the locker room, and those questions that I want answered. So
wow. So you actually go in the
So
locker room.
I cover the whole entire media event. And that's one thing too also about being on the move with SportsKelz. I don't have to wait for that one question. I'm able to ask whatever question I want. And those are the questions that become, they talk. They go on. They trail off because they don't get those questions, rarely. They always get that stat. Well, what do you do on 10 and 24? Well, where are you going when you were, when they were on the 4 yard line? What? No, I want to know, listen, why you take him out? Why you bench him? Why you, said, hey, let's get this going. So those are things that my takeaways when I go to the events. But again, it just allows you to talk sports your way, your narrative, your topics, and enjoy it. So that's Tonya Kelly, SportsKelz Diva. In a nutshell.
This is so awesome. So you and your husband just decided, hey, let's you go ahead and be like, it's almost like you're a sideline reporter.
Yes, I am. I'm a sideline reporter, sports director, photographer, a little bit of everything. I do have other independent contractors that come on and they cover with me. But yes, I'm the sports director. I want to be there.
Awesome, girl.
But I go there. I am there.
How you did that? I mean, how in the world do you?
You know what?
How do you get the connections and? You just build it up.
It's building. You know what? It's a build. He probably can attest to that. It's building and being authentic. I can truly say you have to be authentic in this business, and just being a woman who really talks sports and has a value. And you learn over time. And I get tongue tied at because I have a speech impediment, and I am now starting to talk about that, where I talk really, really fast, and I talk fast because I stutter. So sometimes when you hear me talk or I might stumble over my words, is because I've always stuttered and never really thought about that until I'm in this realm and why I talk fast. But when I slow down, I stutter. So, that has came a part of who I am too when it comes to On the Move with SportsKelz. I just, you just embrace those hiccups, and it just allows you to be you. But just being authentic, I think, in sports, that's why I love it, because I can just be me. I don't have to be no false pretense. I don't have to be this. Like when I worked in corporate, I can just be me, stuttering at times, train of thought all over the place. And like you said, just talking, and it's okay. Because it's sports, and
that's just what you love.
Yes, it's what you love.
So it's a part of you.
Yep, it's a part of me.
Wow. Oh, okay. And I'm sitting up here just listening to you. We have got to take a small break, folks. We will be right back in, I don't know, a minute or so.
Yes.
This is the Score on Air Network, Girls in Sports, and we'll see you in a minute.
Design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater people. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player. That is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
And hello, we are back with the wonderful and exciting Tonya Kelly, SportsKelz Diva, and we appreciate her being here and sharing with us all this information. And see, I knew that she was I knew you were a sports enthusiast, but I didn't know exactly what.
Yeah.
Because we never got to really talk about that, because I saw her in the modeling arena and that sort of thing, and trying to help you. At one point, your daughter was ill.
Yes.
So how is your daughter doing?
My daughter is doing very well, still in the process of recovery. But, blessed to still see, I think about 2 years ago, just to see her where she was at when she first had her brain tumor, and to have 3 surgeries, have my grandbabies and still recover, and then COVID hit and not be able to get a lot of the treatments that were necessary to recover because of COVID. It's a blessing because, a brain tumor, my dad had one also, and my dad ended up passing away a couple years later. But to see my daughter to be 31 and to still be growing, now she's going to school, and my grandbabies are getting big, and just to see her take those steps for recovery, without limited health care because of COVID is raging, it's a blessing.
Because see, I remember, because Kelly, because I have an organization called Sonia's Cancer Caregiver Center, and we support people that are taking care of someone with cancer. And so Tonya, I don't know why I want to call you Kelly, Tonya Kelly, she was trying to reach out to me so I could reach out to her so I could help her or do something. And she was really, really busy. And our times never gelled. But I remember she was devastated, as any parent would be, watching her daughter go through the illness. And then you said that you had cancer, because that's where I think we kind of met at the table luncheon event for survivors, because you had, what did you have? Thyroid and cervical cancer, and then it tried to mess with you again.
Yes, it did. Yes, with my throat.
In 2016.
2016. So not even long ago. So it'll be 5 years. 5 years.
Oh, so you're a babe. You're still a babe.
I know.
I'm 13, almost 14 years out.
You're that veteran. And that's why I love it. Where to go? That's why I love At the Table, to see us all come back, our sisterhood, and see how we still surviving.
And see, I couldn't come like the last couple of times because I broke my ankle.
I know.
And it was I just wasn't walking right. It was just it was really bad. And so like I might be able to come in when they come again after COVID is over or whatever.
Yes, but it was still, with the COVID, it still was a wonderful, we call it a wonderful celebration of sisterhood. And we got to meet the new sisters who are now survivors. And again, to see our judge, Magistrate Lachelle Stroud, take that, now to become a judge, and just be able to see everyone, and to see that even a year later, we still all here. And we did miss you.
We're still all here.
And then I know how that felt to having a boot, because I had one on for about 3 months. I just came out of my boot last week.
Did
I've been
you?
running.
Because it was just crazy, because it's still, I have like a
still twinge.
I have the pins and the thing and the steel thing in my ankle and all that, because I really snapped it in half. And so, I had the surgery and all that. So it's still weird.
Wow.
It's not even the same. Still kind of swelled up, and it's like been 2 years.
Okay, so mine's has been like October. I tore my calf muscles. So I knew what a football player and a basketball player felt like. I felt like death.
And I'm like, because that's what I thought. These players get
ever.
Back up, and how in the world did they get up? And I'm here 2 years later, and I can barely still walk
that's how
right.
I felt. I was like, me falling at Goodale Park on October the 10th. It's just me now. Last week, coming out of my boot. Like you said, I didn't ever have the surgery. I didn't have the surgery, but I was in a soft cast over the holiday. And you already know me. It literally shut me down. Like my husband,
shut me down.
He probably was like, I'm so tired of just driving. I'm like, honey, I need you to take me here. He was like, oh my gosh. Now this is the first time I really have drove my car.
It was wild.
Months, so yeah.
Good for you to get done. But we have some people on here that we want to mention.
Okay.
We have Melissa Ryan O'Connor. She said, thank you all for all you do. She got a little heart. And your husband, I believe, Robert Kelly Jr., he said, do it your way is the best way. Keep up the great work. And SportsKelz is truth. That's what Melissa said. And Christine Young said, awesome. So good to view the show. Thank you all for coming in. And for those who I don't know is viewing this show, thank you very much for viewing it for hanging out with us today.
Hanging out with us.
Tonya Kelly, a major sports enthusiast. We're getting into her life and what she's all about. She's a survivor. She is a caregiver. She is a working woman, and she has her own sports. Oh my God! It's
a little bit of everything.
It's a lot, and you're an educator as well, and activism. Oh, let's see a couple of those photos, Adam.
Yes,
let's bring up. Then I can ask you a few questions about what the heck was you doing in it? What was you doing there? What was you doing? So over Tonya Kelly. What was you doing?
Listen, let me tell you about being an Ohio delegate. Let me back up and tell you about the three. They call the Women of Reynoldsburg. The Women of Reynoldsburg. There is 3 women. Shanetta Strickland, they're now councilwomen. Angie Jenkins, who is the president of Reynoldsburg, and Meredith Lawson Rowe, and she's the councilwoman of Reynoldsburg. These 3 women, they allowed me to come into their life last year, back in August, and cover them as they were going into, the process of running to be a councilwoman. Mm-hmm. It's never been done in Reynoldsburg. African-American women, but just women in, they have Kristen, sorry about her last name, and she has been a councilwoman in Reynoldsburg. So they're women, football players. They came on my show, and after the show was over, I started to follow them. And that meant that I wanted to know more about politics. And my PR, which is Nicole Hill, hey, shouts out to her. We had this conversation like 2 years ago about getting into politics. And then these women allowed me open up their hearts and their support, and I followed them. And the night that they all won their seat on Reynoldsburg, I will never forget them, because it allowed me to learn more about what politics was, not just on the national level, but the local level, how bills and how you write policies change.
Right.
You know, policy, it changes things. It changes how we view. It changes neighborhoods. And they were going out door to door, like I call them the grassroots. And when they won the seat, and one of my favorite congresswomen was Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Right.
And she had came to my classroom 2 years prior to that. And just to see these women, like these pillars, and to see them also, and allow me to come in and to be a voice and to learn from them, that tutelage, it will always be a blessing. And so the Ohio delegate it allowed me, I didn't know it was free for anybody just to come.
Right.
And it's held right here every 4 years. And you go and you voice your opinions, and you bring, and now I know, because I'm going to bring my whole crew. So you bring all the people that you want that are going to vote for you. And so when you become Ohio delegate, all these people, I got to meet, Congressman Herschel Craig. I've always followed him, loved him, but they're all here, and you vote. And so your friends vote for you to be a delegate. And so I didn't get it, but just to be in the room with all these influential people, I met Mrs. Lazarus, which was one of the foundings of Lazarus, stores at one of the women's meetings of the Democrats. It just allowed me to take what I learned back to my classroom.
And plus you got to network a lot.
Yeah, I got to network.
So what were you doing at this? Was this your office?
Yes, that is one of my model pictures. Her name is Jeanette. No, I'm sorry. It's Miss Burlette. She is from Cleveland, and I was in one of her shows. It is the Ohio Alliance, and it is a state model show. And for Miss Burlette, like, I've always heard about her even when I was 19, first coming up as a model. And I got to be in her show, and afterwards I got to take some pictures, some personal photographs with a lot of her models, her brand models, and it was just a wonderful way to express who I was, share what I was doing, but also get to see someone that I always admire.
And you were in New York,
yes,
too.
I got to go to New York Fashion Week 2018, and then right before COVID hit, matter of fact, I was in New York in 2019 for New York Fashion Week with the Beautiful Fashion Tour with Mr. Debonair. And again, I wanted to model when I was 19, but being the oldest of 5 in a working family, in those times, it was about color, what you look like. I wasn't able to, move forward, but it came back around. And so I modeled for Lane Bryant in the Eastwood Mall and their style guides. And I modeled for Davis Bridal. And it was just to be able to get back and do what I love. And that was model. And then also talk about the initiatives that I love.
I saw you doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I got to go to New Orleans. So, yeah.
Did you have a question, Adam?
Yeah, I wanted to ask something real quick. So you talked about, all the politics you've done sports. Obviously, those worlds have collided the last few years. How have you managed to bridge that gap and do it in a way that doesn't offend half the country, which is what everything seems to do now? So, especially with, last year with the Black Lives Matter movement, I can talk. How were you able to, from someone in the industry, how did you toe that line of saying the right things but not going too far? Because unfortunately, this country's divided, and there's a political side, but doing sports, it's a fine line. So how did you navigate those waters, basically?
You know what, for me, it's being authentic, but also being transparent. Again, I'm an African-American woman who would go to these media events, and I would be more than likely the only Black woman. So just being your trueness, and it is a fine line because sports and race and politics have blurred so much. Just having that, being open to those conversations, being open to hear, because a lot of people, it's what your environment that you grew up in. And I think now it has blurred so much that we're now having to learn over, So everybody's opinion, it matters. It does. But for us, we're now wanting to be, understood, be accepted, be open to hear what we have to say. So every conversation I've had with other sports enthusiasts as well as media outlets, it's been, tense at times, but I think just them understanding and you understanding like where you come from, like your upbringing and where my upbringing is, and just coming together and being, again, respectful of those. Does it always happen? Because a lot of it, what you see on TV is maybe 10%. Versus what you talk, like how me and you have those conversations, and just understanding that, what we have been through all our life really is real. And I think for the first time in our lives, things that were happening to African American people have played out. They're seeing it. And now people are having to have to adjust, understand, empower, encourage, and just have a better understanding. Does it change who you are? No, but now you have a better perspective. So with sports, especially for me, when I saw that Black Lives Matter on that floor, that blew me away. That's when I really realized that the 32, especially from the NFL and what was happening with Colin Kaepernick, and then here we are 4 years later to see it happen. That's when I knew that we were taking steps.
Yep.
Even if it's just steps to understand. And I think also it wasn't just our African American players, it was their counterpartners now understanding and now being that voice to now stand up and not shy away from those hard questions. And again, when Kobe died, that was another, that was really hard to deal with, and to hear people's perspectives. So I think now it's just for us to learn and understand who we are, who as a person. We're not just athletes. We're historians. We're, we have a place in history, and it's not about slavery. And sports, that was just always our go-to. But now sports, enthusiasts, sports players are now having a voice. They're now voicing their opinion, and others are now, and even owners. That was another thing too, to see owners come up and, and talk, and just even with Belichick. He was a 45 supporter, and to see him turn that down, that's when you start to realize those perspectives that they had at one time are starting to change. And, it's going to take time. It's going to take years.
It's not going to be an overnight.
No, it's not going to be overnight. But just to see that even happen, so it's the small steps. I think we're going into the right direction. But, yeah, I love it. I want those conversations because it allows me to share, what we've been through. It share what things have happened. But also, let's hear from you. Let's hear what you thought, what you grew up in. What was talked about in your household. And so you get to learn from each other, and then you take those away. And everybody is not going to be all for it. That's just the nature of the beast, just like sports. But, sports allows you to break the barriers that, and have those topics that we never would talk about. And one was politics and religion. You never talked about that. That was like at the dinner table. You didn't talk about sports or religion. And now it's at the dinner table in sports.
I remember it was, I think 4 years ago, they told LeBron to shut up and dribble. We've come a long way from that.
And now he's now the voice.
Yeah.
And now they're now backtracking and now understanding why he was so outspoken. But not just for him, for other players that were kind of shied away are now speaking up because major events have happened in COVID. For me, COVID flatlined everything from politics to sports. And it allowed you to reassess just who you were, just like you were, and everyone having that opinion. And that's where now in 2021, we now have getting to be a better understanding. And no, it's still going to take time because we got a lot of work to do. But everyone now is starting to come to the table, take a seat at the table, and let's talk about it. And it starts from the owners. And to see those owners make those changes, again, the Black Lives Matter on the floor. Even if you look at, I think it's the Brooklyn Nets, to see their floor. If you have not seen the Brooklyn Nets floor, they have rechanged the floor, and it is amazing. But it's from an African American artist. I'm not sure what his name is, but it is absolutely dope. And just to see how things are changing. And because, hip hop and music and everything is all blurred together. So why not have those, those difficult conversations?
And see, I think that, like you said, COVID kind of slowed everything down because it wasn't that George Floyd's murder was so different. It was because everybody got to slow down
and see it. Yes, see it.
Because we're busy. You know, I mean, COVID, you know, what's that? Okay, that's, you know, okay, what's going on now or whatever. But it just made everybody slow down and actually look.
Yeah, and look and realize. And then when Breonna Taylor passed away, and then the guy who got shot in his house. So a lot of things happened. Like I said, I was working for Amazon. When COVID started, I left and got on the truck. And to see, even in our own backyard, how racism was playing out. Like in cities that we never thought, like, what? You know, you got African-American athletes playing for your team, and you're saying these type of things on social media. And, you know, it just allowed everyone to really see what was really happening to us. And, you know, and understand. And I think when George Floyd died, it really, you know, it was something that we never really saw. We saw it, but through a different lens. Mm-hmm. And then it went on from there. Went on from there. So, I just keep saying COVID just
because to me,
line.
you know, when people say stuff like, that was the first African-American woman or the first, that shouldn't be that. It just should be that's the first woman that did that. That's not a compliment to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It hurts me. I don't even like to hear it.
Because
it's fabulous. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's fabulous, but it hurts me that they have to make a big deal out of that.
Like Camilla.
It shouldn't be that. It just should be Tonya is the first lady that we had in this district for whatever, not that you're black.
Right.
So I don't take that as a compliment. It hurts me when we do that, but that's just what we do.
That's what we
and
do.
It is a fabulous thing, but it's not a compliment. It's just saying we have not grown.
Right.
You know, we're not as far or grown as far as we should be, because it shouldn't be that way.
And that's where sports comes in at, where we now have a place to talk sports. So when I go, you know, people just be like, oh, like you said, people like, oh, you the elephant in the room. I embrace that elephant in the room because it allows me to shine bright. Because here I am walking around with all the good old boys and other media outlets that have been doing this for 20, 30 years, and here is me, and I get the same
and
light.
And here is you.
And I get the same light as you do, the same conversation, same topics, same narratives, but now it's your own. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make it your own.
Girl,
and you got Iron Man over there, so you gonna make it.
Absolutely. I've been doing. I mean, I've always been authentic. I've never tried to be anybody else but me. Yeah. I've never been in a box or none of that. And you know, you can't put me in a box and say this is what you should do because I'm older. And some people still go, wow. Well, to my children, they don't look at me like that. Right. They're like, oh, this is something else my mom's doing. She's getting ready to do something else. It's not, and I don't care what you say. I'm not dead.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I still have breath. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right.
And you know, it's just simple as that.
Survivors, it even brings a different light.
It does. So, you don't have time to be pitying yourself and saying, oh, but
fierce and fabulous.
What some people take for granted.
Say it.
We don't.
That could be a whole nother show.
A whole nother show. I mean, we just don't. So it's an urgency with us.
It's an urgency. We don't
it's a major urgency. Do what you got to do, and don't let nobody else stop you. So we have to. I have to stop right there, folks. We're to take another break, and we will be right back with Tonya Kelly, SportsKelz Diva. This is Score on Air. This is Girls in Sports.
Girls in Sports.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and Tonya today, and Adam. This is Girls in Sports, of course. Score on Air, the Score on Air Network, and Tonya has to come back because we don't have enough time.
I gotta ask my question to Tonya. Me and Al gotta talk. So I gotta come back. I gotta be a fixture.
So she gotta come back because it's almost over. So what I want to delve in kind of briefly. We want to talk about your alopecia journey and explain to everybody what that is.
Girl, what can I tell you about my alopecia journey?
Tell us.
Listen, I have been rocking a bald head for 5 years. All this time, I thought it was the after effects of cancer from radiation. I didn't have to do the chemo, God bless, but I did the radiation. And when I was dealing with my cancer, that was when the time that they had these small little gray pills that you would take, and then it would burn you from the inside out.
Yes.
And you had to sit in a room for about an hour or two, and then you would go back home. Nobody really even knew about it. It's not all the things, the glimpses and glamours. I went to Mount Carmel West. But make a long story short, these whole years, it literally changed my life because I was able to get jobs. I had lost jobs. I tried to wear wigs, but there was so much excruciating pain with me having hair that I just kept it bald.
So hold up. So before 5 years, you had hair.
I had hair.
Okay.
I had hair, like beautiful hair.
Okay.
I always kept it short, always rocked it short. That's why I always got in trouble with my mother from wearing them crazy hairstyles from Salt and Pepper. My auntie, rest her soul, she dyed my hair gray. I had the high top fade when it was Kid and Play. I was that crazy chick with 20 earrings on side, yeah. So imagine being a church going girl and you come home with a high top fade. Yeah.
So after your bout with cancer, that's when you lost your hair.
Well, it was
slowly,
actually slowly, and then it just literally, I just started to keep it bald because of the pain, that excruciating nerve pain that would accompany my hair growing back. And the doctors, after all those years, kept saying, you probably gonna get used to being a bald-headed woman. And I was like, okay. So I just embraced it.
Because you looked fabulous.
Yeah, and everybody thought it was a fad, but I was bald before it was the fad. Before, Halle Berry cut her hair, and then everybody's doing it for the show. No, I was that bald-headed chick that was, everybody thought I was a man. Even with earrings on, the police would racial profile me in a car. I could be with my kids, with my mother, and we would be racial profiled. They would think I was a man. Until they would get into my car and be like, oh, you're a woman. What?
Yeah.
So just those stigmatisms that came along of being a bald-headed woman. But I just embraced it because it was just, I had to.
Let me see one of her pictures real quick. Let's see the before and after.
Yes.
Let's look at that one. And see, because, that's her.
That was me.
And I've always known her like that. She was always been beautiful. And you never was wimpy about it and, saying anything about it. So it's like, okay.
You had to own it.
And then this is after.
And so I went back in June of 2020. I was breaking out because of eczema. And I went to a dermatologist and he said, hey, he said, why your hair dark? I said, oh, that's just, the after effects of chemo. He's like, I don't think that. So he did a biopsy. Long story short, that was June of 2020. I started taking a product it's from Lavish Penguin, and I've been documenting my journey ever since I started of June. And my hair really started growing until like July because I was like, I ain't gonna use it. But I started seeing like little sprouts of hair, but it was still that excruciating pain, so I would just keep it cut bald.
See, because I never knew that you would have excruciating pain.
It's the worst pain ever, like nerve pain. And I couldn't even touch my hair. Like, and after 3 days, my kiddos at school would be like, Miss Kelly, you look like a frog. Like, cause you would have like this 5 o'clock shadow, cause like the top of my hair is starting to grow in. It was bald headed. So I just kept it cut short. So moving forward, I started a product with the doctor, with the dermatologist, but it was just alcohol, so it was just making my hair dry. So I picked up Lavish Penguin again. She has a natural hair serum. And so I started really religiously using it probably the first part of July into where we at now. I'm on my 3rd bottle, and this is what I look like.
Because let me explain to you folks, kiddos out there, because I didn't have any hair at all. I'm surprised my eyebrows.
Yeah,
and that's kind of why I wear eyelashes, because my eyelashes were gone.
Gone, yes.
Everything was gone.
That's why I said,
and so
look like a frog.
I didn't have no hair, none. And that's from the chemo and the radiation and all that kind of stuff. And so you being a woman, you have to know within yourself,
right,
that you have this inner
inner beauty.
You have this inner beauty and confidence.
Yes.
Because it's not all about your hair.
Sure isn't.
It's about you
inside
as a person. And so you really, I did have to embrace it?
I didn't embrace it because my husband, it took my husband
That
almost
was
a full
crazy,
year
girl.
to even get used to me being a bald-headed woman. Because, most men want a woman with hair. And so he bald-headed, I'm bald-headed. It took him a year. He didn't understand that. But I had to embrace it. So even my mom was like, oh my God, your hair is not going to never grow. And so it was just something that I had to embrace. And that's how I became an educator, because I wasn't able to get a job. I worked in corporate for 25 years. I flew for a living. I worked in major companies where I was leads, I was supervisors. I had major job duties where I would travel. But when my hair came out, I lost those. I would go to interviews and would get shunned. So I just had to embrace being bald-headed. So I started at Renaissance Academy on Loin. I became a par professional. First I started at Barnett Academy, and it was like a charter school, and I was a sub. So I started from the ground zero, from a sub, $11 an hour, par professional, because I was bald-headed, and I just I got to find a job. And it was the best thing I could have
And
ever
see how things happen.
done.
Things do happen for a
Oh, my
reason.
God. You don't even understand the
And,
reason coming into education.
And it just, sometimes you have everything so planned out.
Yep.
This is how things is going to go.
And don't do none of that.
And it certainly turns
Yep.
for the better. You know how they say Satan, did something to you, but it changed for the
karma,
better.
And I was like, why God
And,
took my hair out? But
You wouldn't have never been like
and everybody,
an educator.
and even now, people's like, what? You didn't cut your hair because you wanted to? I was like, no, it was because of the cancer. And so again, June, and then I've been documented. So now I'm in my 7th month. And I made a comment because I took a picture yesterday, and my bald spot is in the shape of a 7. So it's almost completion. So when I saw that, that outline of a 7, I was like, okay, Lord. And then I saw that 7 when I came in here. I was like, yep, completion is near. And so that's what allowed me to open the door to become an educator, is because I was bald-headed. I couldn't find a job in my field. So I became a par professional. And then I was an office manager for 3 years. And then I got the opportunity, because I went back and got my master's and got hooded and became an educator. And now I'm in my 5th year. And now here I am with hair.
Because I remember I couldn't wait to have just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, just
to come
a
in
little
a little bit.
And then when it started coming in, it was like gray. It was white.
Wow.
And I was
see,
like,
that's
are
what
you
I thought
kidding me?
I thought mine was, because I'm 50. I thought mine was going to come in gray.
Girl, and this was 14 years ago?
Right.
13 years ago. And I was going, really? It's going to come in like that? Because some women, their hair stays that way.
Right.
Because I saw a lady, I saw a lot of ladies, and their hair stays that way. It's all white.
Wow. But yeah, I dyed my hair.
And so I have some white, but I'm like, dyed and can't on. But what all I've been through, I should be all white, period.
And that's why for me, even my hair was like this a little bit. I think I dyed my hair in October, so it wasn't even this length. And my husband was like, are you really dyeing pieces of your hair? I said, yeah. So I have my daughter dye my hair with all it, and I've been spraying it in. And I don't even spray it in no more. And I've been wearing it a couple of times. It's just natural. But just to see, the first time I was able to wash my hair and I put my hands in my hair, I was like, I was just sobbing.
I'm sure.
And that's what for the first time I realized when the doctor said, you have untreated alopecia. I was like, what is that? And then Madam C.J. Walker, if you didn't know, Madam C.J. Walker, that's why she started her own product, because she had alopecia. And she had different things. She had the balding, her hair, the dryness, the scalp. And that was why she started creating her own products, because she had alopecia. And so I had posted that yesterday, and I was like, my soul was like, listen, I'm just a storyteller. I'm just, a part of it to share, because again, and then when I first shared, it was like, everybody was like, oh my God, they were in my inbox, like, oh my God, I had alopecia. They was showing me pictures of them. Like, I thought they had hair and it was wigs or pieces. And I was like, okay, Lord, because we don't share. Our family, we wasn't taught to share. We wasn't allowed to share. So that was another thing, becoming an educator and going into the community activist portion. I was able to relinquish that and share. And start to share journeys and share experiences that we never would talk about. Our parents or our grandparents would talk about. We are able to share. And it has touched so many people. They touch me when they text me and say, oh my God, Tonya, I'm glad that you're sharing your story. And they'll show me a picture and we'll cry together, or they'll call me up and I'm like, get this, sir. I'm like, it has separate results for everybody, but you know, it's doing good. It's a natural hair serum, and then I wash it and just drink a lot of water. But so here we are, 7 months out of 5 years to see my hair. And listen, I'll be having my head out the window like. Let the wind blow through your hair. My kids will be like, Mom, what you blowing? I said, honey, I'm blowing my hair out. They be like, so I can't wait. I keep saying another 6 months, which would be a year. I'm going to be able to wave my hair. Like, honey, take the top down because it's going to be on. So,
because I didn't look right in wigs for some reason. No. I mean, and then I was weird about it because I didn't go get a wig before I got sick, with the chemo, not the cancer, just the chemo and stuff.
And wigs don't.
And so I wasn't even paying.
Wigs are hot. It's tension on your hair too. And for me, it was still a burning sensation for me. So I just never wore. That's why I just kept it bald and never did the wigs. And then too, when I would go for jobs would ask personal questions. Like they would go in my background. They would go through my hospital records. And then I would have a job. I would be at the table signing a paper. And then they would be like, no, we can't offer you the job because you are a health risk. So that's why the educator piece came in. Because that was the one job that, again, I could be me. I could be bald-headed. I could be black. I could be this woman that I didn't have to create no false pretense. I could just go to school with kiddos who would be like, Miss Kelly, you got a 5 o'clock shower today. Or Miss Kelly, you bald today. Or like one of my kiddos at my school, he cut their hair in the summer. Like when I started education, my kids are now 22. So they're like sophomores in college. And to be able to have that, you know, blessing and be able to live and love what I do, it would have never happened if I wouldn't been bald-headed. So I just take it now as a purpose.
And we're done in 3 minutes?
Yeah, and we're done.
In 3 minutes, Adam, the whole show is over.
We're done.
Oh, my God.
But thank you, Tonya.
Tanya's got to come back, of course.
Yes, I'm going ready to come back.
We didn't even get to do our lightning round.
You got 3 minutes.
Yeah, come on, do the lightning round now. Come on, let's go. Let's do the lightning round. Let's go. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, girl.
Here we go.
Do you like to read?
Yes. Avid lover.
Okay. What is your favorite actor or actress? Who? I mean.
Who is my favorite actor?
I mean, and you can name a few.
Denzel Washington. And for my actress, man, it's a few, but I love Kerry Washington. My girl from How to Get Away with Murder. I can't think of her name.
I know who you're talking about. Viola Davis.
Viola Davis, yes.
Okay, girl. Are you a morning person?
Heck no. Jesus.
So what do you have to have? Coffee?
No,
or?
Mountain Dew.
Oh, Mountain Dew.
Yes, gotta have a Mountain Dew,
girl. You better drink your little water.
I know.
And go on. What is your father's name?
Lee. Esper Lee.
Okay. What color are the curtains in your room?
We don't got no curtains.
Okay, there you go.
Do you have anything blocking the sun?
No, we have like those new blinds that come up.
Okay.
Yes,
I was gonna say,
and they don't have it where you can like put curtains up. So we got the new houses that don't have like the curtains. Yeah.
Okay, because see, I took my blinds off of in my kitchen because I don't know how they got raggedy, but they did, and so and it just opened up my whole room.
Yeah, we had those blinds that you just pull up, like those wooden blinds that you just pull up and pull down. Yeah,
we got one freaking.
All right,
okay. Are you? Do you make your bed up every day?
Husband does.
I love him. I love him. Okay. Do you play any instruments?
No, my mom made me play the violin, and I sucked.
Oh my goodness. Okay, have you rode a horse?
No. My granddaughter loves horses, but I haven't.
Would you jump out of an airplane?
Absolutely nada. I can't even swim, Sonya.
Would you do bungee jumping?
No, that's my husband. I'm going to be on the beach watching him.
Watching him do the bungee jumping thing.
Yes.
Okay, and do you have a pet?
Yeah, Snow Bunny. He's a Maltese and Bichon, and he'll be 5.
What's his name?
Snow.
Isn't it, girl?
It's
our
a boy.
Our dog's name is Jon Snow. You remember the Game of Thrones?
Yep.
Do you remember that? Because some people never saw the series or whatever.
King of the North.
King of the North, yes.
and that's Snow. Girl, that's why we named him Jon Snow.
Boy,
he's loyal.
Maltese.
He's wonderful.
And
he's handsome. He's a warrior.
He's a Maltese and Bichon, and he'll be 5 February the 15th.
He'll be 5. Okay, Snow just turned 1 not
yeah,
too long
bitty.
ago. And so, I'm sorry. Oh, I am so sorry. It's been such a wonderful freaking show. Thank you, Tonya Kelly. Thank you so much for coming.
Iron Man, thank you.
Yes, and she's going to come back, of course, since we got to finish our conversation.
I know.
And so I have some more lightning round questions for her as well. But we appreciate everybody checking, staying with us and hanging out with us today. This is the Score on Air Network. You can catch us on scoreonair.com on our website. Okay. We have a podcast. We're on Spotify, a lot of stuff. And and I got to get ready to go. And we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week. Score on Air Network. Yes. This is Girls in Sports.
Girls in Sports.
Bye.
Check her out.